Not that scary of you looking at me, is it? Absolutely fine. So what I'm going to be talking about today is basically my determination and desire and my influence and personal experience on acting that I've had over the years. So basically my sort of personal background of acting all starts out back in 2011 when I started to do Lambda, and I've been doing that constantly for 11 years. And what ended up happening is I was not me 11 years ago. I was a small year 3 kid, just at school, hated going to school, hated learning, was lazy, was arrogant, didn't want to do anything, and just didn't want to be there. And basically that all changed when Lambda got involved, and I was such a key thing, I was so pleased for it. But anyway, when Lambda got involved, it all boosted my confidence to a completely new level. So what ended up happening is my dad was the one who set me up in acting, and super proud of him, and still am, for him to do that, so it's really, really good. So what ended up happening is he was like, Jade, do you want to go up and do Lambda? I think you should have a go, have a try and see what happens, build your confidence and your self-esteem. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, just come with me and we'll go and do it. So I had to prepare back then. I did an audition. I did my audition back in 2011. That was my very first audition of my life. So I had to prepare a poem, and I can't exactly remember the details. But the only significant part I remember of the poem was that it was something to do with me colouring in a builder sort of thing out of the colouring book that you say. And with that, what ended up happening is I went into the audition room. My brother also participated, just had a go. And as I was in that audition room, I did the piece, whatever the poem was, can't exactly remember. And then out of luck, I got in. I got into Lambda, and I was really, really relieved. And since sort of being in Lambda, starting all the way from verse and prose, all the way to sort of acting, pathology, I didn't really know what it was, acting then. I didn't really know how it was meant to be until I got 4 years later down the road, all the way to acting and pathology, and that's when I sort of started to create stage directions, performances, plays, and pieces, which is something that I wanted to actually do because I was getting bored of just standing here all the time, just talking out to an audience. So I did, hundreds of different types of monologues, and I was really, really pleased with doing that. And then sort of, as I left primary school, I sort of diversed, and I sort of got a little bit a little bit scared because secondary school is a new place. It's different to primary school. But I sort of got a bit lazy again when it came back to secondary school. This is 2016 now, we're moving all the way from 2011 to 2016. So what happened then in 2016 is there was this amazing show, and I will never ever forget it in my whole entire life, that my secondary school, Kevin, which I went to, offered. And I really should have done it, saying that now. So that's one thing I regret, is doing that, definitely. It was Les Miserables, and it was absolutely exceptional beyond belief. The ensemble were so involved. It was a massive set. It looked professional even though it was amateur because it was at school. It was just the biggest thing ever. And then I started talking to my parents about it. I was like, I want to do this. I actually want to do this. And this is sort of now when I started going into determination and what I mean by that. So then the next year, sort of carrying on, 2017, is I auditioned again and did awfully loads and loads of shows. And I always got the main part. So I did Matilda, I did Billy Elliot, I did The Wizard of Oz, and I did Beauty and the Beast. But the biggest part I got was The Wizard of Oz back in 2018 now, and it was really, really good, and I got put in the newspaper for this, and at the time it was like, how did I even get the newspaper? It was crazy, but it's something that I think you have to work up to from such a young stage. If you want to get to a whole life where you are, you have to keep pushing yourself, and you just push to get where you want to be, because that's the determination and that's how it flourishes. So basically, what ended up then after I finished Lambda 2 years ago, and I got a distinction from that back in 2021, my mum pushed me to come to Exeter College here. I thought, no, I want to do A-levels, so much better there. And then I realised when I got my GCSE results, I was like, oh gosh, this is terrible. So my GCSE results were really, really bad. I'm still doing maths today, unfortunately. So I'm not good at maths. I'm not really good at any exam subjects, let's be honest. So I just thought, I am a creative person. I want to do something and build something huge. And that's why I sort of push myself, always out of my confidence. I'm not scared of doing anything. I'm willing to do more. And that's why sometimes, as you could definitely see, referring back to last year on my FMP, for example, I was willing to go out and ambitious, but unfortunately that ambitious was not settled in. My mind was going everywhere. It was sort of like a big pit, just everywhere. Yeah. So you really have to know what you want to do, and you really have to set a path what you want to do. So then after level 2, I went on to level 3 course, and this is where now I really started to change. I mean, from being all the way up 10 years ago a very unsocial boy, all the way to now being a very social person, I've considerably fought and pushed myself to where I wanted to be. And if it's something you really want to do, and you put in that work, however you do it, you will have the desire to just keep on going. Keep progressing and keep fighting it, because you will get there. And basically for me, it was something, that's quite a challenge, and you've got to put a lot of work for it. And I'm going to say I work between 18 hours a day, which is quite crazy, to be honest. Yeah, I work 18 hours a day in the morning from 8:30 all the way up till blustering midnight or 11:30 at night. But yeah, I try and work my other stuff, because it's a key thing, and I think if you want to build that career, you've got to go from something really small and work up to something that's really, really big. So yeah, so now my inspiration falls from one person in particular. So this year, just before we broke up actually into summer holiday, I went to a sort of celebrity talk evening, and I was with an ex-student called George last year, George Diss. And basically what happened is I met this exceptional actor, and I still think, his process of acting, and because he's an online acting teacher, he's called Jack Ryder. He's famous because he appeared in the 1998 series of EastEnders playing Jimmy, what's his name? It will come to me later. But yeah, he played Jamie Bell, that's his name. He played Jamie Bell back in 1998. He got recordly announced for that because of just going for that TV series and building up what he wanted. And that's really why you need to be determined to get what you get. Because if you want what you want, you've got to build from that. Even if it's small to something big, go for it. But yeah, he said to me, we were briefly having a discussion, and I said to him, so what's your perception on right or wrong in acting? It was like, there is no right or wrong. You have your own imagination. People can give you advice and give you guidance, but you're the one to do what you want. And he said one quote, and a very, very simple quote that can mean so much to all of you. He said to me, just do it. And what I mean by that is, stop the fuss, get all the rubbish out the door, and get off with your work. Because he's an online, person. He has loads of people that come to him. And a lot of people, they're fast, they don't know what to do, they get all confused, they get all panicky. But he said you've got to focus on the inner core about you. You've got to get to the focus point and just go for it. Be sharp on it, know what you want to do, and stop the fuss, because the fuss is what makes people really emotionally confused, and they don't really know what's coming and what's happening and what's going on. So yeah, it was such a great sort of evening, and that's one of the evenings that I remember out of my inspiration as a Jarrah rider, definitely for this year. And then I thought to myself after that, funnily enough.
Right, Jade, you've got 2 more minutes.
Thank you, Nigel. Funnily enough, is basically I've already worked out this year what my career is. I know that sounds like a very early, crazy start, and it may change. But my career I want is, I'd like to be a stand-up comedian. Because I am a very dramatic comedian. And as you can see, lots of people see me like walking and running and doing like weird movements and like talking, yabbering loads of times, and all of that, and just talking and being nice and social, all of that. And I think there's this willingness that you've got to have enjoyment out of every day you do. And I think that's something that's absolutely can be exceptional, because there's so much people so serious about everything. They take everything so seriously. Most people do anyway in this world. I mean, trust me. And if you just bring it out with have a bit of positivity, that one thing in your day can change what you do as a person. You can be proud of that. And you can have so much fun with comedy, because people in this world are stupid. Like, they half the time don't know what they're doing, you know what I mean? And that's when I come back to comedy. So I've been watching an awful lot of Lee Evans over the summer holiday, and that has been one of my biggest highlights. I love Lee Evans every second. He talks about so much stupidity that people do. And I've done an awful lot of research into him, and I've done an awful lot of talking to myself constantly, doing all his dramatic movement. And then I've also watched Johnny English loads of times, which is a really, Johnny English is what I mean, the really stupid dramatic film. He's like moving around, always Johnny English with his gun, pretending to be, he's absolutely brilliant, but he's not really. But yeah, he wants to build himself as an amazing person, but actually he's really stupid, you get what I mean? So what I love as a person is to be stupid. I love to be stupid. And I love when people look at me stupidly, and I love the nonsense that people can create out of it. I think it's an exceptional thing, and I don't mind being, rejected for that, because that's can be part of it, and that's part of comedy. You have to be riskful what you take. You can't be upset when someone doesn't like it. You've got to stay present in that moment and know you can do better. And then the last thing, moving on my career, 2 more things, is basically I've got 4 types of given advice I've been thinking about over the summer holidays of what I thought. So my number 1 first advice is, this goes for everyone. Everyone struggles with this, and everyone will hate it from me. I have to say though, be organised from day one. I know that sounds like an immense task, but I see so many people that struggle with time management. I know it's a problem, I know it's insane, but there's got to be a willingness to the structure that you do. As again, you will be confused and you will not know what you're doing. I can help with that. You can ask me, you can get advice from me. And then number 2 is, don't let anyone else judge upon your decisions, because you are the one to make your own work. If you are the one to do it, you can get to it. If you've got like your parents that unfortunately sometimes try to stop me, and they do that awfully a lot, because they think, I can't do it, it's too much, Jade, you're getting yourself in a pickle, you're getting all confused, you're getting annoyed, you're getting frustrated. Just think to yourself, this is what I want, they're only giving me advice, if I wanted, I would just go and do it. So never let anyone else judge. It's your mind that can judge upon you, people can't. Number 3, my most important one, be yourself. Being yourself is the keyest thing. When you're going for an audition, being a role, meeting new people, that sort of thing, you need to know, how to be kind and respectful and meet new people, and that can make the whole world and those people feel good about themselves as well. And my number 4 is, own what you do. All the work that you do, you need to own it with a passion. Because I know a lot of people, they think they're, well, no, I should have done more on this, I should have done more on that. You can always do more of it, and you can always dig deep and come out again. And all of that content that you own starts sort of creating a whole path. And you can follow that all the way from the beginning, from what I said when I started out my career, all the way to the end of your life. I mean, you can have just all this work, and you're like, wow, this is great. But for me, that's something that I think is really important, owning what you create, because it's your own imagination, it's your own desires, your own dreams that you want. It's such a key aspect, yes? And yeah, my last and final thing is university and drama school. So I'm basically thinking, oh, what university and drama school shall I go to next? Well, it's kind of a bit hard for me. I mean, I've been looking at 2 ideas, and I've been having constant discussion with my parents that have unfortunately put me down quite a lot. They said Bristol, Vic, or you could also think about going to Falmouth. I wouldn't mind you going to that. That's what my mum and dad said, because they want me to live more local. However, I'm the complete opposite. I want to get out in the world, build my career, and explore what home life is away from home. You know, I want to be independent, which I probably am already. So that is all the what I want to do for my career. Do any of you lovely people out of my career have any marvellous questions I'd like to ask?
I think we should clap first.
Thank you very much. Does any one of you have any questions they'd like to ask?
When
Yes.
did you come to the realisation that comedy was something that you wanted to do?
Oh, thank you very much. So basically, Amelia Turner, I always thought to myself, I started watching Johnny English in, oh gosh, it's back in March now, March, April time. I watched it loads, a lot of nights I watched it, because I just thought it's a short film, it's funny, anything that's serious I can sort of just let out into that, make it stupid, make it feel stupid. So I constantly thought to myself, this is a character who's completely stupid. And I'm completely dramatic. He's like a social guy who is completely ridiculous, doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't mind kicking people up and going near them and fighting them and all of that, because he sort of stops criminals. And I'm surely a bit like Johnny English in many ways, because he's kind of a very innocent character. I myself, I'm a very innocent person. Like when I see a lot of his sort of like social media stuff, I don't always react to it because I don't always understand it, you know what I mean? I don't read the news, that's the thing I block out of my life. I don't read the news, I think it's awful. I just think it's really messed up, it's so negative, it's so poor, all the serious stuff that's going on can all be done if people take actions, not of just reading an article and saying, oh, that's going on, that's going on. But yet, that's sort of the realisation that, you know, every day you can have little moments of positivity in your life. And you know, that's a key aspect out of every day that you do. Yes. So, any of you have more? Yes.
Right, one more.
What blockage do you have? What's your blockage?
Blockage, what do you mean?
Like, what's stopping you?
Oh, what's stopping me from my... Probably... Oh, this is a big one. What's stopping me from my... Well, my agency and getting my agent, I should have actually said, is my biggest goal out of life. It's the biggest thing out of this year. I mean, I've already got another agent, but they are absolutely awful. Universal Extra. Do never, ever apply to them because they do not give you any work. And sort of what's stopping me, I think, is partly I've got a lot of stuff I do out of college, and all of that and the travel and everything, which I know it sounds like a really ridiculous excuse, it all comes under this sort of priority of, again, time management. Even though I'm so organised in everything I do, I think sometimes I do a bit too much. Like again, when I meant earlier I was very ambitious about everything, I sort of do sometimes overly a bit too much, if you understand what I mean. Anyone else for any questions?
No, that'll do, Jade. Well done. Thank you.